This is Greg Strange at the Institute of Directors with the latest in our series of business vidcasts, and with me is the Director General of the IoD, Miles Templeman. Miles, we're going into March, we're in the teeth of this recession. What should businesses be doing right now to weather the storm if they can?
Well, the first thing to say is that not all businesses are suffering quite as much as some. In a recession, obviously there are a lot of companies that suffer, but there are some good news as well, and it's important for us to recognise that. Some companies are adjusting very well to exploit opportunities, but for most, it's about cash control, it's about running the business tight, but it's also about not losing sight of the longer term, that realising when we do eventually come out of the recession, we've got to be stronger and ready for it.
How can you do that when you're battening down the hatches at the same time?
Well, that's what leadership's all about. It is absolutely essential to mind your customers, to look at how you're training your workforce, how you're preparing everyone to be better, not just to survive.
You're really then talking about investment in one form or another, either in equipment or possibly more important, in people.
Absolutely. One of the big things that suffers in recession is training. And the skills of the workforce are what's going to enable us to build for the future. And our competition is still the same as it was before. It may be weaker, it may be stronger. The thing we've got to do is to try and say, what are the skills my workforce need to enable them to perform better in the post-recession era?
Now, are companies expected to find the resources for that kind of training from what they haven't got anymore, or is there some wonderful pot of money out there that they can go to, marked government's here to help you?
Well, funnily enough, there is a pot of money. The Train to Gain scheme is there for companies to use, and the big problem is the ease of access. And one of our big pitches to the government is they've got to make these funds more available, easier to get at, not obscure and bureaucratic. It's a bit like their whole approach to regulation. The other theme we've got with them at the moment is don't bring in any more regulation. We don't need it now. And it seems as though we're having some success with that, but we've got to keep the pressure on.
Do you detect that government is more open to suggestion, more open to ideas from organisations like yours than it was 3 and 6 months ago?
Yes, I do. They are desperately saying what can they do to help the recession. The answer is not a lot, apart from pressure on the banking system and all that we've talked about before. But they can avoid making it worse, and they can look at some very specific areas of VAT payments, of tax on empty buildings, on various small-scale measures that could help small and medium businesses to survive.